Second step is actually, have you got a visa problem? Because you may or may not have a problem. So what I want to do is to ask you all to stand up for a moment. Great. And I'm going to ask you a question. If you can answer yes to the question, sit down. Do you have a permanent identity card? Permanent identity card. If you've got one, you'll know what it is. Okay, no. Right. Okay. So, sit down if you have the right to land in Hong Kong. And again, if you've got it, you'll know what it is. The right to land. Clearly, none of you. Sit down if you've got unconditional stay. Sit down if you have a dependent visa. That means you're married to a Hong Kong resident, and that resident has sponsored you for a dependent visa. Sit down if you have had 10 million Hong Kong dollars invested into qualifying investment asset classes anytime during the last 7 years and you're in possession of a capital investment entrance scheme visa. No. Okay. Sit down if you have won a Nobel Prize or represented your country in the Olympics or otherwise as some kind of concert virtuoso or some international sporting superstar and you hold a quality migrant admission scheme visa. No. Okay. So step 2 is really understanding if you've got a problem. If you're still standing up, you've got a problem. So you need to listen carefully to everything I'm talking about from this point on. Please sit down. Step 3 is getting to the heart of it all, but before we get really into the heart of it all, if you're here as a visitor, as you invariably all are, the question is begged as to what is permitted activity in relation to your immigration status today, as regards your plans for joining in or establishing a business in Hong Kong. Well, as a visitor, you can come here and undertake a genuine business visit, and that will be a classic scenario of you working for somebody overseas, coming to Hong Kong to visit a business contact, do whatever dealings you need to have, and then leave, and that's a genuine business visit. If you're here in the expectation that you're going to become a resident of Hong Kong, then you can engage in activities that are anticipatory of you becoming a resident. So you can look for an apartment, you can sign up for a mobile phone contract, you can do all the kinds of stuff that anticipates that in due course you will become a resident, but depending on the visa type that you're applying for, there must be no assumption of any work-related duties while you're in possession of a visitor visa, while you're undertaking your pre-relocation for business residence activities. If you are, and I'll talk a little bit more about that during the presentation as it all comes into context. If you're here to participate in a trade fair or speak at a conference, that's permitted activity as a visitor. However, if you're going to get paid for speaking at a conference, that's not permitted activity. You need an employment visa for that. If you're going to open a cash till at a trade show, that is not permitted activity as a visitor. You'd have to secure an employment visa to be able to do that. In the final analysis, as you'll see, there are some very clear lines as to what's permitted and what's not permitted, but there's quite a grey area. And that grey area is ultimately determined by the attitude of the immigration department to prosecute somebody for breach of conditions of stay if they discover that there has been activities which are not commensurate with one's conditions of stay as a visitor. But I can't say that the immigration department never prosecute, because they certainly do. But as you'll see, there's something called the Catch-22 that's in play in an entrepreneur visa type situation in Hong Kong, where you have to be in Hong Kong practically in order to get things going, and it could be argued that some of that stuff that you're doing doesn't actually vie with your permissions as a visitor. That is, what do the immigration department make of that? And I'll deal with that, because there's a logical, practical outcome to that. So that's what you can do as a visitor.